Dear professor and teacher assistants, today we're going to present you our model and present you the solution to our exercises.
So, moving to our questions. Exercise A. 1. What is the type of demand for ships and why? Answer to the question. The type of demand for ships is a composite demand. This is because you can use them to produce different goods, as ships are raw material for cars, laptops, house appliances, etc. Second, what effect would a sudden increase in demand for good A have in the market price and equilibrium for good B, assuming that they are both made from the same raw materials? Our answer: a sudden increase in demand for good A would result in a decrease in the factors of production for good B, meaning that the supply would decrease. This means that the market price would go up and the equilibrium quantity would decrease.
So, question B. According to the graph 1, what is the problem described on the article? The problem shown by the graph is a consequence of the shortage of chips to produce cars due to factors such as the pandemic that slowed down the whole economy and the increasing demand of cars due to distribution of stimulus checks, among others. The demand curve suffered a shift to the right, which meant more quantity was demanded. Also, the supply curve suffered an upshift, making less quantity of supply more expensive.
Okay, moving on to C. How can you relate the chip shortage situation with the graph? And how can you explain the shift of the demand curve to the right and the shift of the supply curve to the left? So the shift of the demand curve to the right was caused by a stimulus check provided by the government and by the pandemic, which made the demand, which increased the work from home, thus an increase in demand for laptops. The shift to the left of the supply curve was caused by the factories closing down due to COVID-19, which meant the supply of ships couldn't keep up with the increase in demand, thus less cars were being produced, and thus less ships were being produced to produce more laptops.
Okay, so moving on to question D, where the government induced stimulus checks the right call and should the government have taken action somewhere else? So basically the stimulus check provided an incentive for consumers to spend and not to save in times of pandemic in order to boost the economy during the pandemic. This was a very good call short-term wise. However, we believe that the government should have also implemented subsidies in order to increase the supply of raw materials such as chips, so that companies like the automobile companies or companies producing laptops and others didn't have to undergo a shortage of raw materials like they did relating to the chip shortage, which meant the production of these goods couldn't increase to meet the demand after the stimulus checks.
Right, moving on to question E. What solution do you propose to maximize the supply to keep up with the demand? So we propose that they should restructure the production of chips to a more effective and less time-consuming method. This could be done by the government implementing subsidies. If they subsidize the companies can invest and possibly make a less time-consuming method in order to produce more chips in a shorter amount of time to keep up with the demand.
Okay, thank you so much for your attention and have a good one.